Does the Catechism of the Catholic Church address, or is there a church teaching on the theology of near-death experiences? It would seem that Jesus is offering us yet another olive branch against our stubborn doubt in these modern times with near-death testimonies. Now, this other person's question also was, the idea was, if we're supposed to die once and then be judged, how do we have a near-death experience and go back? Why aren't we judged at that time? So put those two together if you can.
Good. Well, yeah, two really good questions. With respect to the first question, is this? I totally agree. Yes, it is God giving us, as it were, the olive branch. One more testimony against the stubborn materialism of our times. I couldn't put it any better than that. The Catechism doesn't have specific teachings on near-death experiences, but what I try to do in that book, The Soul's Upward Yearning, is I give you a fairly good description of it and then try to give you the parallels with Christian theology in that other book, God So Loved the World. So if you just go to the chapter on Jesus' resurrection, I try to pull out those parallels. But the main thing I would say, there's another parallel besides the transphysical part of our souls, and that is, Jesus talks about a resurrection into unconditional love, and that resurrection of unconditional love is absolutely verified in near-death experiences. So the Christian view there of the resurrection as unconditional love is very much verified. So yes, I do think there's some really excellent parallels there. The one thing I would just say, watch out with the anecdotal descriptions of near-death experiences. There are a lot of people out there who honestly are using these things in a very manipulative way. By anecdotal, I mean a single story, right? So somebody tells you, I had a near-death experience and here's the story. I would say, fine, believe that story. I mean, a trustworthy friend, that's a great thing. But always, have a little bit of caution in you, particularly if you start hearing something that just sounds really goofy, contrary to Christian doctrine. There could be honestly a very manipulative or even New Age agenda that's kind of underlying that anecdotal thing. Stick with the science. Stick with the peer-reviewed studies. Stick with the studies from lots of hospitals that are published in peer-reviewed journals, that have excellent research apparatus connected with them, that have very fine, reputable doctors that are speaking about this with a team of other doctors who are testifying not only to what happened, but how it happened. If you stick with the good studies, you're not going to get too misled. Right. Watch out for some of these anecdotal ones, and especially when you hear something, that's just wacky,
Right. Exactly.
Just chalk it up to, I'm being manipulated by, the source of the wacky story, perhaps a wacky person. So, or a manipulative person who may have something else in mind. But no, the Catechism doesn't really speak to it. Okay. But if you go to that chapter 4 of that book, God So Loved the World, there are a lot of parallels there for you.